Hey guys, welcome or welcome back to the channel. Finally, after so long today, finally, my motivation has gave me the permission to shoot a video because apparently the way I have been functioning in my life is I am waiting for my motivation to give me that permission. Because what is discipline? We don't know what discipline is, right? Jokes apart, I really don't know what took me so long to post, and I did not intend to take this break at all. But apparently, one thing led to another, and then I got stuck in the loop of perfectionism. Like, I want a perfect strip, I want a perfect video, and uske chakkar mein I didn't post at all. But here I am again. So, today's topic is really an interesting one, and something which has been doing wonders for me. And apparently, I used to listen a lot. Like I used to hear a lot of people saying inner child healing, in your healing journey, in your self-love journey, you have to pay attention to the inner child. And I didn't used to understand as to be like, what is this obsession with inner child? Like your childhood is gone, you are just an adult now. But lately I have been realizing every desire, every behavior, like almost every behavior, like things I want in my relationship, or how I behave just normally, or in my, or how I show up in my relationships, be it like friendships, relationship with family, siblings. Underneath all that, there's this inner child who is making me do all that. And like, it's such a huge realization because I have been actually seeing everything from that inner child perspective once I realized this. I'll give you a backstory, like what led me here. Apparently, from the last 6 or 7 months, I have been listening to the podcast which talk about healing, especially anxious attachment, avoided attachment, or there are dating coaches who have their podcast, and I got super into that stuff, and I have listened to that stuff religiously because I just thought it's so interesting, and I have listened to them talk about the same thing again and again. That whatever behavior you have, if you have anxious attachment or if you're avoiding, like every behavior you have, if you are afraid of leaving that person, your partner, even if they are not right for you, it's because there's a form of safety in them. Like all this stuff, it's because there's your inner child underneath all of that, and you are still operating from that childhood stuff. And I didn't used to actually understand it, but when you just kind of keep listening to the same thing again and again, you just get locked into your mind, which happened with me. I used to listen to the stuff because it felt helpful, but at the same time, I didn't actually understand like this inner child thing. I was not able to resonate with it, and then I lived with my parents for some time, and then I realized that wow, this all actually really makes sense because apparently they are the same people. Like, of course, they have grown older and you have also changed as a person, but the dynamic is still the same. There is still that dynamic that can kind of trigger those wounds very well. And when I actually lived with them, I just realized that there is definitely an inner child that who exists, which I was not able to understand earlier. But then I started seeing situations as an adult with all this information, but putting myself in the situation of a child and having the dynamic with my parents, which actually got so much clear when I lived with them. I was reliving the childhood dynamics in some sense, and then I was kind of able to understand what all these people are trying to say in their podcast, like that you are just operating from those childhood stuff. Just happens as you grow older, you can't remember much, but your body and brain kind of remembers it. It's the same kind of thing, like you have lived in a place for so long, but when you move out and then you shift to a new place and it's been years of you living at the new place, then you start forgetting the old place a bit. But the moment you'll go to the same old place, all those memories will come back. So it's the same kind of thing. And I think, like, I am very grateful that I saw things from this perspective. Of course, as a child, you don't have the capability and the information that you need to figure all this out. But since I've been living away from my parents for quite some time, that dynamic kind of got faded. Like, I was not able to remember much. But when I lived with them again, like, and now with all this new information, it was just like, wow, it was really enlightening. Okay, so I'm going to give you some quick examples just so that you can understand better. For example, if you have the kind of dynamics where when you make a mistake, your mom or your dad just scolds you very badly, and as a child you are not like, and it is of course a repetitive pattern. And I'm not saying that they are bad people or anything, but it's really, weird how as children we perceive things, and then we carry that as adults and we don't really remember where this came from, while it really came from the childhood. For example, whenever you make a mistake, you know that your mom is gonna scold you so badly. Now as an adult you are just so scared of making mistakes, and literally you're so hard on yourself. Like it's so contrasting, because whenever I make a mistake I just go into this mode of like I'm such a failure, and then I just feel like how can I make a mistake, and you don't like, I just go into this mode where I'll talk to myself so negatively, and I'll tell myself that you don't know anything and you can't even do one thing right, which basically comes from childhood. And then now I realize, and the other day I was watching one of my friends and she made a mistake, but she was like the reaction was so normal, and she was like, it's fine, I am a human, it happens. While whenever, even if I just break a glass, automatically I go into this mode of like, see, you can't even do this properly. And which indeed has been, now I'm assuming, a result of those experiences that in the childhood, and now I'm an adult, I'm carrying that with myself, with my own self, but not realizing where it came from. So yeah, this was just one example, and there are a million things like this video was just made to kind of help you understand the importance of that inner child, because you are still carrying those things in the adulthood even if you are not aware of it. And I see a lot of my friends who actually struggle with this idea of inner child, and I used to too. So I just thought, like, I have realized this, so why not make a video about it. And in the other videos on the same topic I will discuss many other things. But yeah, I just want you to pay attention, like try to remember things about your childhood. And I know you won't remember like this, अगर तुम ऐसे बैठ के सोचोगे तो नहीं होगा. But if you have a certain behavior, like यही example, like if you make a mistake and just observe yourself, pay attention to your behavior, and then try to correlate it with the childhood, maybe then you'll try to understand a bit. So yeah, that's it for this video. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.